Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we are diving into a fascinating what-if scenario. What if the Library of Alexandria had never been destroyed? Imagine a world where every scroll, every manuscript, every piece of knowledge collected from the ancient world survived intact. The Library of Alexandria was not just a building filled with books, it was the hub of human curiosity and discovery. Philosophers, mathematicians, astronomers, and scholars from across the known world came together to share ideas, study the stars, and record the secrets of nature. If that treasured trove of knowledge had been preserved, we might have had access to centuries of scientific discoveries long before they were actually rediscovered. Ancient medical texts could have saved countless lives, advanced engineering concepts might have sparked early inventions, and philosophical insights could have shaped societies in ways we can only imagine. Think about it, every unanswered question in history, every mystery that stumped civilizations, might have had solutions sitting on those shelves. The knowledge of faraway cultures, from Egypt to Greece, Babylon to India, could have been shared, combined, and built upon continuously. By simply preserving these writings, humanity might have entered a new era of enlightenment centuries earlier, changing the way we live, explore, and understand the universe today. So, buckle up, because today we are going to explore the incredible possibilities that could have unfolded if the Library of Alexandria had survived, and how our world might look completely different as a result. Now, let us explore the second idea: accelerated scientific progress. Imagine a world where discoveries that took centuries to be rediscovered were already known in antiquity. With the Library of Alexandria intact, knowledge of the natural world from physics and chemistry to astronomy and biology would have been accessible to generations of scholars long before the Middle Ages. Think about the inventions and theories that shaped modern science. Concepts like gravity, planetary motion, or principles of optics might have been understood hundreds of years earlier. Ancient engineers could have applied advanced mathematics to build structures and machines that were far beyond their time. The ripple effect is staggering, with earlier discoveries, the Renaissance, the Industrial Revolution, and even space exploration could have arrived centuries ahead of schedule. Furthermore, having a continuous record of human insight would have prevented countless repeated mistakes. Scientists and inventors would not have to reinvent the wheel every few generations. Instead, they could build directly on accumulated knowledge. Collaboration between civilizations like Egypt, Greece, India, and Babylon could have accelerated innovation even further, creating a truly global scientific community long before our modern era. In short, preserving the library would not just have kept books on shelves, it would have fast-tracked humanity's understanding of the universe, fundamentally reshaping technology, medicine, and daily life centuries earlier than we ever experienced. Moving on to advanced technology, imagine a world where inventions that we associate with the Industrial Revolution or even the modern era were already possible in ancient times. With the Library of Alexandria preserved, detailed knowledge about mechanics, hydraulics, and engineering could have been applied centuries earlier, giving rise to technologies that were way ahead of their time. For example, concepts behind steam engines, water pumps, or even early forms of automated machinery could have been understood and implemented long before the 18th century. Ancient architects and engineers might have constructed bridges, aqueducts, and buildings using techniques that today we consider modern. Even innovations like navigation instruments, telescopes, or basic computing devices could have emerged, drastically accelerating human progress. The implications for society are huge. Faster technological development could have transformed agriculture, transportation, and communication, enabling civilizations to thrive and expand in ways previously impossible. Trade networks might have stretched further, cities could have been more advanced, and everyday life might have been far more efficient. What is even more fascinating is that this early access to advanced technology could have reshaped global history. Wars, colonization, and cultural exchanges might have unfolded differently because societies would have had more sophisticated tools and understanding at their disposal. The Library of Alexandria was not just a repository of ideas, it was potentially the key to unlocking technologies that humanity would otherwise take centuries to discover. Next, let us talk about global literacy and education. If the Library of Alexandria had survived, knowledge would not have been locked away for elites or lost to time. It could have been shared widely, fostering a culture of learning across civilizations. Imagine a world where literacy rates were higher centuries earlier, where children and adults alike had access to the accumulated wisdom of the ancient world. Education would no longer be limited to small groups of scholars. With preserved texts from mathematics, philosophy, science, and literature, schools could teach more advanced concepts far earlier. Societies could have developed a deeper understanding of the world around them, leading to more informed decisions in governance, trade, and daily life. People would not just read, they would think critically, debate, and innovate based on centuries of accumulated knowledge. The ripple effect of widespread literacy is enormous. More educated populations tend to drive faster technological and social progress. Cultural exchanges between regions like Greece, Egypt, India, and Babylon could have been richer, with ideas flowing freely across continents. Knowledge of different languages, histories, and philosophies would have encouraged empathy and collaboration, potentially reducing conflicts fueled by ignorance. In short, preserving the library could have transformed education from an exclusive privilege into a global foundation for growth. Humanity might have reached intellectual milestones long before the modern era, changing the course of civilization in ways that still shape how we live, learn, and connect today. Now, let us explore medical breakthroughs. If the Library of Alexandria had survived, countless ancient medical texts could have been preserved, offering knowledge about anatomy, treatments, and diseases far earlier than we ever rediscovered them. Imagine doctors in ancient times having access to advanced surgical techniques, herbal remedies, and preventive care that could save thousands, even millions, of lives. Diseases that ravaged populations for centuries, smallpox, plague, and other epidemics, might have been better understood or even prevented much earlier. Ancient physicians like Hippocrates, Galen, or Egyptian healers could have shared their insights continuously, building a cumulative body of knowledge rather than losing it to time. With preserved studies on hygiene, nutrition, and pharmacology, public health could have advanced centuries ahead, drastically reducing mortality rates and improving life expectancy. Beyond individual treatments, understanding human anatomy and physiology could have accelerated the development of medical instruments and techniques. Hospitals, vaccination methods, and even early diagnostic tools might have emerged long before the modern era. Knowledge exchange across civilizations could have led to standardized practices, combining the best insights from Egypt, Greece, India, and other cultures. In essence, the survival of the library could have transformed medicine into a truly advanced science much earlier. Humanity's battle against illness, suffering, and death might have been far more successful centuries before modern medicine even existed, fundamentally changing the way we live and thrive as a species. Next, let us dive into mathematical mastery. If the Library of Alexandria had survived, humanity might have unlocked advanced mathematical concepts far earlier than history shows. Ancient scholars had already made impressive strides in geometry, algebra, and number theory, but much of their work was lost to time. Preserving these texts could have allowed civilizations to build on centuries of accumulated knowledge without interruption. With continuous access to mathematical insights, engineers, architects, and scientists could have solved complex problems sooner. Calculus, probability, and advanced geometry might have been developed centuries before Newton or Leibniz, influencing everything from architecture to astronomy. Navigation and trade could have become far more precise with early mastery of mathematical principles. allowing civilizations to explore the world more effectively. Mathematics also underpins technology. Early understanding of physics, engineering, and mechanics depends on strong mathematical foundations. By retaining these ancient insights, societies could have innovated faster, designing machines, structures, and tools that were unimaginable for their time. Even abstract mathematics, like algebraic theories, could have inspired entirely new branches of science and philosophy, shaping the way humans think about the universe. Ultimately, the survival of the library could have made mathematics not just a specialized discipline, but a global tool for progress. Humanity might have entered a new era of understanding, problem-solving, and innovation centuries earlier, with effects rippling across science, technology, and everyday life. Now, let us explore astronomy and exploration. If the Library of Alexandria had survived, our understanding of the stars, planets, and the broader cosmos could have advanced centuries earlier. Ancient astronomers like Hipparchus or Ptolemy had already made remarkable observations, but much of their work was lost. With preserved knowledge, humanity could have mapped the skies with unprecedented accuracy long before the telescope was invented. Imagine explorers navigating the seas with precise astronomical charts, understanding celestial movements, and calculating positions with advanced mathematics. Global exploration could have accelerated dramatically, opening trade routes, cultural exchanges, and discoveries centuries ahead of schedule. Early knowledge of geography, combined with sophisticated navigation techniques, might have allowed civilizations to explore distant continents with greater safety and efficiency. Furthermore, understanding the cosmos would have shaped philosophy, science, and even religion. Questions about the universe, the Earth's place in it, and the mechanics of celestial bodies could have been answered or at least investigated with far more rigor. This early curiosity might have led to a scientific revolution long before the 16th and 17th centuries, influencing how humans view themselves and their place in the universe. In short, preserving the library would not just have saved scrolls, it could have accelerated humanity's journey through the stars. Our ancestors might have looked up at the night sky with knowledge and understanding far beyond what we previously imagined, shaping a world where exploration and discovery came naturally and much earlier. Next, let us look at preserved cultures and languages. If the Library of Alexandria had survived, countless texts from civilizations across the ancient world, Egyptian, Greek, Babylonian, Indian, and beyond, would have been preserved. This would mean that languages, literature, philosophies, and cultural practices could have been documented and shared continuously rather than lost to time. By preserving these texts, we could have maintained a direct connection to ancient civilizations. Languages that disappeared might still be studied and spoken, and literary works, religious texts, and historical accounts would give us a richer, more accurate understanding of human history. Imagine reading original manuscripts from civilizations that we now know only through fragments or translations. The depth of cultural knowledge available would be staggering. This preservation would also foster cross-cultural understanding. Societies could have learned from each other's successes and mistakes, blending philosophies, governance models, and artistic expressions in ways that history never allowed. The world might have developed a more interconnected intellectual and cultural community much earlier, reducing cultural isolation and misunderstandings. In essence, the survival of the library would not just safeguard knowledge, it would safeguard humanity's identity. By keeping these ancient voices alive, we might have built a global civilization rooted in a deeper appreciation of its past, learning from it to shape a more enlightened present. Now, let us explore political and social impacts. If the Library of Alexandria had survived, the preserved knowledge of governance, law, philosophy, and human behavior could have profoundly influenced societies across the world. Leaders and communities would have had access to centuries of wisdom about justice, diplomacy, and ethics, potentially shaping more stable and fair political systems. With earlier access to lessons from history, rulers might have avoided mistakes that led to wars, oppression, or societal collapse. Philosophical texts could have informed policies on education, healthcare, and civic responsibility, encouraging more enlightened and effective governance. Societies could have built legal systems based on accumulated human experience rather than trial and error, creating fairer, more cohesive communities. Social structures might have evolved differently as well. Understanding of ethics, human rights, and social dynamics could have promoted equality and cooperation, reducing conflict and fostering collaboration between cultures. Knowledge exchange across regions could have created a more interconnected and informed global population, where societies learned from each other's successes and failures rather than repeating the same errors. In short, the survival of the library could have reshaped the way humans organize themselves. Politics and society might have been guided by wisdom accumulated over millennia, potentially reducing conflict, promoting justice, and accelerating the development of civilizations in ways that we are still only beginning to imagine. Next, let us dive into early industrialization. If the Library of Alexandria had survived, humanity might have entered the industrial age centuries earlier. With advanced knowledge of mechanics, engineering, and energy systems preserved, inventors could have developed steam engines, machinery, and manufacturing techniques far ahead of the 18th century. Imagine cities powered by early machines, factories producing goods efficiently, and transportation systems that connect regions with ease, all emerging long before the historical Industrial Revolution. Societies could have experienced rapid economic growth, technological innovation, and urban development far earlier, transforming daily life in ways we usually associate with modern times. This accelerated industrialization would also have profound social effects. Populations could benefit from improved infrastructure, more accessible goods, and enhanced communication. Early mechanization of agriculture might reduce famine and hunger, while innovations in transport and trade could expand cultural and economic exchanges globally. Education and science would likely advance in parallel, as societies adapt to and learn from new technologies. However, early industrialization could also pose challenges. Environmental impacts, social inequalities, and political tensions might emerge sooner, giving humanity a chance to tackle these issues earlier or potentially magnifying them without the lessons we learned historically. Overall, preserving the library could have given humanity a head start on technological and industrial development, fundamentally changing how civilizations evolved. The modern world, as we know it, might have arrived centuries ahead of schedule, with all the opportunities and challenges that come with rapid progress. Now, let us explore cultural renaissance. If the Library of Alexandria had survived, humanity might have experienced a cultural rebirth far earlier than the historical Renaissance. Preserved texts on literature, philosophy, arts, and history would have inspired creativity and intellectual exploration across generations, fueling a golden age of human expression centuries ahead of schedule. Artists and writers could have drawn on an extensive body of knowledge from multiple civilizations, blending styles, ideas, and techniques in ways we can hardly imagine. Philosophers and thinkers would have had access to centuries of accumulated wisdom, encouraging critical thought, debate, and innovation across societies. Music, theater, visual arts, and literature could have evolved with unprecedented richness and diversity, reflecting a truly global exchange of ideas. This early cultural flourishing would also influence education, politics, and social norms. Literature and philosophy could shape moral understanding, civic responsibility, and personal expression, helping societies develop more nuanced, compassionate, and enlightened values. Knowledge of history and culture from around the world might have promoted empathy and cross-cultural understanding, reducing conflicts born of ignorance and fear. In essence, the survival of the library would not just preserve books, it could spark a human renaissance on a global scale. By nurturing creativity, critical thinking, and cultural appreciation, humanity might have reached new heights of intellectual and artistic achievement long before the modern era, fundamentally transforming the way we understand ourselves and the world around us. Finally, let us consider impact on modern civilization. If the Library of Alexandria had survived, the world we live in today could be unrecognizably advanced. Centuries of preserved knowledge and science, medicine, mathematics, technology, and culture would have accelerated human progress, fundamentally reshaping society, politics, and everyday life. Imagine a world where industrialization, medical breakthroughs, and space exploration arrived centuries earlier. Global literacy and education would be widespread, fostering critical thinking, creativity, and innovation from an early age. Societies could have been more interconnected, culturally aware, and technologically sophisticated, reducing ignorance-driven conflicts and enhancing collaboration across nations. Philosophies, ethics, and governance systems preserved from the ancient world could have guided humanity toward more equitable and enlightened civilizations. The ripple effects are staggering. Technology, healthcare, science, and the arts could all be far ahead of where we are today. Global exploration and trade might have flourished, and human understanding of the universe could have expanded centuries before modern astronomy and physics emerged. Even daily life education, transportation, communication might have been transformed beyond recognition. In short, the destruction of the library was not just the loss of books, it was a massive setback for human potential. By imagining a world where it survived, we can appreciate just how transformative knowledge can be. Thanks for joining us today on this journey into the past and the possibilities it held. If you enjoyed this exploration, do not forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts. What do you think our world would look like if the Library of Alexandria had never been lost? In conclusion, the Library of Alexandria was far more than just a building filled with scrolls. It was humanity's greatest treasure of knowledge. Its loss delayed centuries of scientific, technological, and cultural progress, shaping the world in ways we can only imagine. By exploring what could have been, we see just how powerful preserved knowledge can be in shaping civilizations, advancing medicine, technology, education, and even our understanding of the universe. While we can't rewrite history, this what if reminds us of the importance of protecting and sharing knowledge today. Every book, every idea, and every discovery holds the potential to change the world just as the library once promised to do. Thanks for joining us on this journey through history and imagination. If you enjoyed this exploration, do not forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment with your thoughts. What do you think our world would look like if the Library of Alexandria had never been destroyed? See you in the next video.